as an investor, board member, and leading Asia CEO, my guest today has built the real foundations of digital infrastructure globally. I'm talking about no one else other than Bill Barney, CEO now of Turbidite. Bill, welcome back to in-person event.
Yeah, it's good to be here. It's good to be
2 years later, finally.
Yeah.
You've been very busy, even though the world shut down. You were creating something new. So, But before we get into Turbidite, there's a lot to discuss there. You're working on a lot of things in the background. How have you seen the world change, and the digital infrastructure world change over the last 24 months because of the pandemic?
Well, I think I've been fortunate to obviously be living in Hong Kong and been on the other side of the world, but still keeping my hands in a lot of the different industries. And the reality is, we've not seen demand like this ever. I mean, it's the infrastructure finally is being tested and pushed, and I think for the first time we might have demand outstripping supply in a lot of markets, is what I'm hearing, right? So I think that's really where it's been a great run of 2 years, and does that stop when COVID ends? I don't know, but it doesn't seem that way. I think we've actually taken and absorbed some applications that we're going to keep forever. So,
has it been easier to get money from investors because they've realized how much potential there is in this sector?
I think when you have a lot of growth in a sector, yes, there is a lot of money, I think, chasing this stuff right now. It's probably one of the easier times to raise capital, or it has been over the last, I would say, probably 2 to 3 years, and probably will be for a while, because I think it's, if you look around the economy, there are pockets that aren't doing as well, and so the reality is tech is a safe place, and it's growing very, very fast, still, every day.
At least one other decade.
Yeah, there was a decade, I think, and we've never really road tested what happens when interest rates start to rise. That may impact some of the infrastructure stuff. So, right now we've been operating in a very good economic climate where you've got high growth, low interest rates, and stuff that's external that's causing huge demand spikes, right?
Interest rates. Are we talking about maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line?
I don't know. I mean, this all pivots on inflation, right? So if you get 2 or 3 big markets that have inflation, then you'll start to see that interest rates will start to rise, right? So right now, I think we're fairly comfortable, but even you talk to people, food has gone up, in terms of costs. Petrol is, on a global basis is trading at a much higher price. So I mean, there are signs out there that inflation's coming. So.
Worrying times then.
Yeah, you hope not, but you always got to keep your eye on it.
Yeah, okay. And then, Bill, you started a business during COVID. I'm going to call it the COVID business. I don't know if there's a bad connotation to it.
No, it's fine.
We're both COVID businesses because we started more or less the same time. I think you started a month before I did.
Yep.
But tell us about Turbidite. I mean, why Turbidite? Why are you focusing on markets? What does the name mean? Okay.
Well, first, Turbidite it's an underwater earth, basically a landslide. So essentially, if you think about it, and we learned about turbidites in 2006 when they actually wiped out all the submarine cables that transited through Asia. And so that's when the first time people actually heard the word turbidite, and it actually had a really meaningful impact on people. So our perspective was we want to build edge data centers that will revolutionize how cables are built, and also to bring infrastructure to the edge so they're not so dependent on what's in the sea. And so that's what Turbidite's all about, is really to take a look at how networks are built in Asia and bring a new way of thinking about it aggressively into the market. Okay,
and then straight away I can see the correlation of your previous work around subsea infrastructure that you brought into the edge infrastructure sector. So what about challenges? Well, is it challenging? We've already spoken about that maybe it's the easiest time to get funding. So talk us through the challenges that you faced.
Well, I think the world is in a funny place because I think the regulators are tightening down instead of loosening up. So even though you've got massive demand that's out there, you're seeing that the regulators are trying to say, how do I protect the digital infrastructure business in my country? How do I protect the applications? How do I protect the services that are domestic in my markets? And so I think we are going to see a lot of sort of hard work being done trying to manage what are really trade issues between countries. And you're seeing this in the submarine cable business today, where a lot of cables aren't coming across the Pacific. There's challenges on landings, and even on data centers. In some cases, you got to have 60 or 70% foreign ownership in a country, which makes it very difficult to bring in foreign investment. So there's a lot still to be fixed in the globe to make all this stuff really work seamlessly and grow, for the next 10 years. But I think the good part is I think people realize the importance of it.
To me, it sounds like I'll have a lot of content to write about.
Yeah, I think, and it's interesting how each region's sort of pulling in different directions too, and so, what the Latin American guys have done versus the Middle Eastern guys versus the Southeast Asian folks, all very, very different, and then also you have this sort of China-U.S. bipolarity, right, that's going on right now. That's also going to cause tension in the around especially this region.
Yeah, that conversation could even go to a higher level.
Yeah.
So let's focus actually on geographies, because you've announced Guam, you've announced Hong Kong.
Yep.
So what are the plans for those two locations, and then where else are you going to go? Because I know you're going to be quite busy over the next few months.
Yeah. So I think you'll confidently you'll hear by mid of Q2 that we're actually into Southeast Asia very, very aggressively. So that's where we're putting a lot of emphasis. We're also doing a little bit in the what we call the GBA Southern China area, and then obviously we're also looking at how we can expand past South Asia towards the Middle East. So we'll definitely be looking at all those different options as we explore and move forward.
Okay. And in terms of investors, who's backing you?
Well, we're today solo backed by our management team and New World Development, which is it's a Hong Kong-based conglomerate that does largely property development, but very, very long-standing. I think they're 73 years old in the market, so they spent a lot of time doing developing property there, and they also own jewelry stores and they're in healthcare. So it's a big conglomerate.
Okay, so you got money at your disposal.
We do
to grow. Can you give us numbers? How much are you investing?
Well, it's
invest $1 billion. On how long?
No, I think the way to look at it is our goal is to be at sort of close to 50 million of EBITDA in 3 years. So you can guess how much it's going to cost us to invest there. So that's sort of our objective, and to do that all in the edge space and in the emerging markets. Most of our investments aren't huge, so we're spending anywhere from $15 to $40 million per country as we sort of go and build those things. So that's sort of to give you some idea.
Which in those sort of locations is a considerable amount of cash anyway.
Yeah, for small data centers. I mean, a data center, you build a megawatt for, essentially 4 to 5 million bucks in the cheaper places, 10 in the more expensive places. But reality is, we're not going to be much bigger than 5 to 6 megawatts in any given facility in the beginning.
Okay. At the beginning. So what's the plan for after the beginning? Hyperscale?
Yeah, I mean, down the track. I mean, I think we'll watch the hyperscale market. I mean, it's what we see. We think there's a huge opportunity just being edge focused. So sticking to our core, but it doesn't mean that we won't look at other options down the road.
Okay. And Bill, we're finally meeting in person. We are PTC 2022 in Hawaii. How are you finding the conference, and what do you expect to happen in our sector in the next 12 months that we're going to be talking about a lot in January 2023?
Well, I think
hopefully no more COVID tests as well.
Well, to be honest, I think now that we've learned about COVID, I think there'll be another variant before it's over. We're going to have to deal with it. It's going to be something we're going to learn how to live with. But I think the conferences will get bigger. I think people will start to just move on with life. That's a good thing. But I think there's also going to be a lot of rethinking of business models going forward, and I think there's going to be a lot more regional, sort of smaller players than there was, and I think the big player, the global player, is going to be replaced by a lot of these small entrepreneurial shops. And one thing is if you look at COVID, there has been in the tech space a lot of new companies formed, and in very, very profitable sectors inside the technology space. So I think you'll see those companies will start to blossom over the next 2 to 3 years, and we'll bring a new ecosystem, which I think will be very exciting for the industry to have some new players there.
Yeah, it really drove innovation. He forced us to innovate, basically.
You did, actually, and also you couldn't just go on with business in some cases. You really had to enforce decisions, and it was interesting. I had a panel with Gary Gilder from Colts today, and she was on there, and she said, I think a very profound thing, which was that people will make decisions now. They have to make decisions on certain things. They may have waited during the COVID period, but now I think they're aggressively going to say, well, we're going in this direction, and this is why.
Pushes anymore.
Yeah.
All right, Bill Barney, CEO of Turbidite. Thank you so much for talking to me again.
Yes.
I hope to see you soon again.
Yes, of course.
And for your home, thank you for watching, and just subscribe to the Tech Capital and follow us on social media as well for the latest breaking news in the digital infrastructure sector worldwide. At the Tech Capital, you lead, we report. Bye for now.